Hey guys, today I have a video for Cheeky Studio. I am a little bit behind in my videos for April, so I'm trying to kind of jump back in and get into the habit. I had sat down a couple weeks ago and was going through my photos, and a lot of times I prefer to use a sketch. So I had gone through my sketches and I had been looking through sort of digital sketches, ones that I haven't printed out and put in my binder yet. So I was just kind of looking through on my laptop, bouncing back between photos and sketches, and I kept coming back to this particular sketch, so I decided I was going to go ahead and go with it. And I was able to go ahead and show it on camera because it is a free download, like it's available for free. It was basically, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, Allison Davis from Scrapbook Generation was on, I don't know if she was on the Simple Stories design team or if she was just sort of doing like a monthly series for them. And basically it was every month she would post a sketch where half of the layout was sort of a traditional layout and the other half used the Simple Stories pocket pages. And originally when I decided I was going to use the sketch, I didn't even realize that's what it was. I didn't realize it was one of the pocket pages. I just thought, you know what, I like the layout of it. I like how many photos are on there. I can actually squeeze a couple more in. I'm feeling this one, that's what I'm going to go with. And then it was about this point in my process when I already knew I was going to try to use the 4x6 and 3x4s that Tuesday had sent. But in my mind, I was just going to kind of use them as pattern papers. And then when I started laying everything out on my cardstock, I was having an issue in my mind of the rounded corners on the cards and the straight corners for my photos, and I was trying to decide, you know, did I want to mat the photos or whatever. And then I looked over at the sketch and realized it says right on it that it's for pocket pages. So I went and looked to see if I had one, and I did. So sort of doing like the happy dance, and I just decided I'm gonna go with that. Then I don't have this issue of, you know, my background showing through with the rounded corners and whatnot. So typical fashion for me, I, for whatever reason, almost always start on the right page. I'm not sure why. It just happens. So I went ahead and put all my photos in the pockets, and then I just have the one 3x4 area and one 6x4 area that I'm going to sort of decorate and put things on. I had been scrolling through, I want to say Instagram, and I saw somebody use these journaling spots. So I literally ran upstairs and downloaded them from this website, and I want to say it's called the Creative Bubble. I did post on Instagram and I tagged them just in case anybody else was interested in purchasing them. And it was like a set of 10 or 12 journaling spots that are sized for 3x4. And I knew that I wanted some of the pattern from the 3x4 from the Llama collection to show through. So what I just sized it a little bit smaller and then typed my journaling in, and then I just printed it out on some smooth white cardstock, trimmed it down to where it was going to fit on my little card. And then when I was originally pulling these photos and trying to figure out what I was going to use with them, I went with the llamas just because to me it kind of felt like it could lend towards like outdoors or hiking. And then I completely spaced it and didn't end up using the actual llamas, but I ended up pulling like the mountains and the trees and the sun images. And that's kind of typical for me. Like if you hand me like a set of die cuts, I will almost always kind of go through and almost sort them into mini packs. Like I'll pull stuff out that I feel like goes like different little piles. Like so now I have a pile of plain llamas and a pile of party llamas and a pile of florals, and then not very many of the little mountains and stuff left over because I used a bunch of them on this. So like I've said before, I do not have a problem sort of just taking supplies and making them work for me and what I want them to be. So here I've moved over to the left page, and I stuck very heavily to the sketch. The only difference that I did on the left side was the first two 3x4 photos on the sketch were depicted as a portrait 4x6, so I just was able to add an extra photo there. And then I knew I wanted to do a title where it was like mixed letter stickers and stuff, which was also depicted on the sketch. I just, for the life of me, was having an issue coming up with a title, and trying to figure out, you know, what it was that I wanted to do. And I ended up cutting out part of it from the video, but it took me forever to put those little tiny letters that say the railroad. And then I'm going to end up scraping off the word the, because later on, as I was going through the stickers that I had pulled and stuff, I found this little chipboard banner that said the great, and I just kind of kept coming back to it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to scrape off the letter stickers that I already had on here, and I'm going to kind of incorporate this in here. I like it when, if I'm going to use letter stickers, I prefer to sort of have a good mix of whether it's different fonts, different sizes, different colors, different heights of the letter, whether it's popping them up on foam tape or using chipboard ones or using foam ones. I like when they're sort of all mixed. I kind of don't like when they're all the same size or they're all the same color. It's all, you know, it's all just from one set of letter stickers. I definitely prefer kind of mixing them up. And then I just kind of, I think I ended up moving where I put my clusters. I just kind of put them where I felt like I wanted to put them. And again, I'm sticking to the mountains and the trees, and there you can see that little llama that I was debating about using, and I think I ended up just using the one. Yeah, so I did end up using the one little naked llama. There was no llamas on this hike, but I went with it. And this particular hike that we went to is, I don't know if anybody's ever gone to visit the Hoover Dam, but the lake that was made when they built the Hoover Dam was called Lake Mead. And there's a hike that you can take that kind of overlooks the lake, and basically they took all the old railroad tunnels that were built specifically for moving all the supplies and the construction materials into the area to build the dam. And then so when they were done with the dam and everything had sort of been turned into a national park and whatnot, they sort of deconstructed the actual railway and turned it into like a really cool hiking path. And there's about 7 of the tunnels left that you can hike through, and I think we only did 4 because there was 4 that were pretty close together, and it was about maybe 2.5, 3 miles round trip just to do the 4. I definitely could not have pushed my kids in a stroller to do all 7 tunnels and then turn back, so we just kind of did about half of it. And then I had ended up grabbing some phrase stickers off of one of the sticker sheets, and the only other thing that I added was I just kind of kept it simple, and I grabbed some blue matte enamel dots and I just put them in 3 little spots on the layout, put my cards back in the sleeves, and that was pretty much it. Oh, I did go back and I pulled this little card out and I went ahead and stamped the date because I figured out that my date stamp would fit in that little hole. So yeah, that was about it. So here is another image of the completed layout, both pages together. As always, I appreciate you coming by and watching, and I will catch you guys later.